The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Welcome to the Local Spin. I'm Lou Custodi, and this is where we go into the minds of Western New York's most creative visionaries. And today I have a special guest artist. Her name is Lisa Zelazny. And Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lou. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you. And to be honest, you and I didn't know each other. And then we were actually introduced by a mutual acquaintance, Kevin Soltis.
Yes.
Who is a great audio engineer. He's a wonderful drummer. And I don't know whether he gets the recognition he deserves. He's a wonderful educator.
He sure is.
He's a great drum teacher. So I hadn't seen Kevin in a long time, and you reached out to me. But this summer, after not seeing him for, I want to say 15 years, we were both at the Mark Records annual pig roast. I was playing there with the Barroom Buzzards, and we just got done doing our set, and all of a sudden he was there. And we started talking, and it was just like putting a needle on a record, right. if we can say that. Some people know what that still means.
I do.
Right?
Yes.
But anyway, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And now, are you local to Western New York?
I am, yes.
Where did you grow up?
Medina.
You did grow up in Medina?
Yes, Medina.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And you've been on the music scene for how long now?
Well, off and on, really, fairly steady since kind of like the mid-'90s.
Okay.
Yes.
Playing professionally, or did you go into something where you started doing it maybe as a hobby, and then you said, hey, maybe I can do this more as a, not just as a hobby, but almost like as a performer, right?
Sure. So I think that a pivotal point for me was living in Stockholm in the mid-'90s. And
How did you get to Sweden?
Well,
I mean, you're from Medina, and all of a sudden you're in Sweden. How did you get there?
I moved around a bit. So I lived on the West Coast for a while in San Francisco and met my daughter's father there. So we lived in Stockholm for a time. And so that was a pivotal time for me because prior to that, I'd been dabbling with songwriting and recording on my Fostex 4-track recorder, which I still have at home. I don't use it, though.
They still work, though. That old technology still works.
I have a feeling it would still work. So when I went to Sweden, I think that's where things kind of changed for me, and I started to write more seriously. So one of the reasons, I think, is because as I was learning the Swedish language, it helped me to write.
How long were you in Sweden?
4 years.
4 years. And
yes.
You learned how to speak?
Well, fairly well. I can't say I was fluent, but I was proficient, I think. So I think that's why I started to feel the need to pour my emotions out into my songs. Mm-hmm. So I started to write, and then I met an engineer there named Thomas Eklund, and we recorded several demos together. So one of which is 100,000 Pieces. Okay. And Thomas played Hammond organ on that demo. And what's really cool is on my next album that's coming out is I'm releasing a revival of this song, 100,000 Pieces. And I reached out to Thomas after all these years and reconnected. I'm going to get emotional when I talk about this.
That's fine.
But he re-recorded the Hammond organ part for this new release coming up in just a few weeks.
So how many years passed between the original and...
Oh, well, that was 96 when I recorded with Thomas
You're
at
talking
Studio
almost 30
Morris.
years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to the beginning. So you are a guitarist.
Yes.
And when did you start playing the guitar?
I think that I started playing maybe in the late 80s. I mean, that's when I picked it up and tried to learn some chords. And then I think when I was living out in San Francisco, I would just go to some open mics and start to play some of my songs.
So it wasn't like you started when you were very, very, very young then?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
And did you find it, let's just say, challenging at that point? I mean, I know what it's like to play an instrument, and I know what it takes. Let's say emotionally and physically and intellectually to do that, right? But I also know that if you start when you're very, very young, it becomes more of something that you do and it gets easier. To try to pick up an instrument, let's suppose when you're in your teens or early 20s or whatever, that had to be very foreign.
So it was a bit of a slow start, I'd have to say. I think practice
Did you have an
makes
instructor?
perfect.
Were you taking lessons?
I only took one guitar course when I was undergraduate at Fredonia.
Really?
Yes, and it was actually where I learned to finger pick first.
It sounds like the Kenny Loggins thing, the quick picking, fun strumming guitar course.
Right.
Or
so,
no, it was Kenny Rogers. Don't you remember that when we were kids?
Yeah.
The quick fingering, I don't know, fun-loving strumming. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so but it took time. I think, and as I write, I would just, need to learn how to play to keep up with the writing and bring the song to fruition. So
you're
it just was a
totally
process.
self-taught.
Yes.
Wow, that is an accomplishment. It really is. Before we get any further, why don't you just let everybody know how they can find you, what your website address is?
Sure. So if one were to just search for my name, Lisa Zelazny,
Right.
.com, and there's my website, and they'll find that I have this 2023 release for That Was Then and This Is Now is available for downloads on
Excellent.
the website. But I just wanted to show this mainly so people would know how to spell my name.
And how to say it, too.
Yes, it has a second Z in there. So it looks like Zelazny. I have a lot of different pronunciations that I get, but it is Zelazny. Yes.
Oh, I go through the same thing with the spelling of my name and the pronunciation of it too. So, but I wanted to get back to you, totally self-taught, and how did you understand the theory behind what you were doing as far as writing the chords and the music and so on and so forth?
Well, I had taken a couple of music theory courses, but I don't know. I don't know if I can. Rephrase the question again for me,
so,
please.
A lot of times when people write music, they say they write music, and what they do is they record something they're playing, and then somebody else transcribes it for them. So they say, okay, I'm going to go from a C chord to an F chord, and I'm going to throw this in here, and they do that, okay? And it doesn't sound like that's what you do with your music after listening to it.
No, I think I have a very solid understanding of music theory and different chord progressions when I studied at Fredonia. I think I still remember the professor's name, Keith Peterson.
There you go.
Yeah, so I do have that background. And then I think as I would need to, when I was recording it, I would need to bring on musicians. I would need to write out the chord progressions for them. So
Was that difficult for you, or did it come naturally?
that's not difficult for me, but I think if I were to write out a melody note for note, I can do that. I would really have to sit down and revisit that again, but I would be able to.
All right. Now, who were some of your influences?
All right. So really a wide range of influences, because I think growing up in a family of being one of 5 children, I have three of my older siblings, and just had a lot of influence from what they listened to. So my sister Debbie was a night owl, and I'd wake up and she'd be listening to Frank Sinatra or Dionne Warwick singing a Burt Bacharach song, the great pop writer Burt Bacharach, or listening to
he
Chopin.
wrote everything in the 60s.
Oh my gosh.
He was everywhere.
Yeah. And then, my brother's listening to the Beatles, and then I was influenced a lot with things that they were listening to in the 70s. But I think in the 80s, I really started to listen to Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
And I know it sounds probably cliche, but it is not. I think Joni influenced so many of us female songwriters. You can watch her progress as a writer, and if you listen to her album, she goes from folk to jazz, and I feel as if she opened up the pathway for female artists to just kind of sing about whether it's her insecurities or what she's observing about people. It's real.
I find that a lot when I sit and I talk to songwriters. especially those who write their own music and they are also lyricists. It's a very, very emotional, vulnerable position because they do write about their experiences and how they feel and things that happen to them.
It's very true.
And same with you, I would imagine?
Yes, that is the case.
So you did the one album that you were telling me about. This was then, that was then, this is now.
Yes.
How many cuts on that album? It's right there.
There are 9 tracks.
You wrote them all?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, did you experience everything on every single one of those cuts?
Oh. Sometimes things are not necessarily autobiographical, but you're weaving in maybe experiences or people or some of my own, but then they become a little bit fictionalized.
You get sort of like an idea and you start with
Yes.
something and then before you know it, you have something.
Yes.
And that's what happened with that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I do know that a lot of songwriters, if it happens to them, they write about it, and it's something that they literally experienced.
Yes.
And then there are others that have told me, well, it doesn't really work that way. Sometimes I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden a melody pops in my head.
Right.
Or I'm taking a shower, and a melody pops in my head.
Right. I do have to say that most of the songs are very personal. Probably everything, yeah. So I think there is some element of me in each song.
The genre that you most remind me of is that 1960s, early 70s coffee shop, one or two guys playing a guitar, right? And when I say guys, it could be a guy or a girl, right? I just say that as part of my vernacular. But that nice little quaint, intimate scene. I'm thinking Simon and Garfunkel, right? Loggins and Messina. That's
Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah, Gordon,
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Do you find yourself thinking of that when you go out and you're playing? Is that your atmosphere? Is that the space that you're in?
I believe it is. I don't think that my music really fits like a noisy bar room. People are looking, to. You have a lot of really heavy metal. That's obviously not me. But yeah, the cafe scene is definitely the atmosphere that's where I feel most comfortable.
So if you were going to categorize the style in which you perform, what would be the first style that would come to your mind?
I've always marketed, I guess, or described myself as playing folk rock, writing folk rock. But there's so many nuances of jazz and blues and maybe even a little bit of country as of recent. So
Joni Mitchell was very, very big, right?
Yes,
And I can hear that actually in your vocal inflections when you sing. Any of the other early pioneers?
Maybe one more recent that I'd like to talk about. One is, and I'm not. I'll make the reference that this is John Paul White, and he was with Civil Wars.
Okay.
And now he's playing on his own as a solo artist and writes. And his writing really moves me very deeply. And
is it the words or the music, or both?
It is both.
You're going to say both. I
It
just
is
knew.
both.
After I said that, I said you're going to say both.
I think he walks that line in life where I feel like many songwriters, and as I do, it's that line where you feel intensely the pain and the beauty and the joy and the happiness, and there's a beautiful melancholy to his music, and I think that there is in mine as well. And my daughter and I went to hear him perform right before COVID in Pittsburgh, and then we saw him again in Burlington, Vermont. And for me, his music, he deserves a better analogy, but my heart is like an onion, and its music peels away the layers.
There you go.
Layer by layer, and it helped me to start to write again.
And that's when you know that you're connecting on a different level. The music speaks to you. There have been times, I know in the past, when I have listened to something and it really moved me internally, and somebody would be asking me a question, and I'm just like totally focused on what's happening. And they can't understand that way in which it may have affected me at the time. Right? And I know other people that they hear music, but they don't listen to the music. They hear it. It's like background noise. It's almost like a TV on in the background. And they'll say, "Oh yeah, I like music," but they're never, ever, ever listening to it. They're not listening to it change or a certain way in which an artist may approach a melody, right? Or certainly not even the words.
Right.
That's not the space in which you live, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I think that gives me a good opportunity to talk about the forgotten pleasure of listening to a whole album.
Okay.
There is something about that experience of, whether it's CD or vinyl, of opening up the album and looking at the photos of the artist and reading the lyrics and just reading all about the artist. And each song is a chapter, and as if in a book, and a story unfolds as we listen to an album, and we learn about the artist at that place or time in life, and it's like we connect with them. We don't know them, but there's some sort of human connection that we make.
Well, there's two things there that I want to unpack a little bit. First, you said opening up the album, and that brings me to when I was growing up, being a horn player. I loved Blood, Sweat, and Tears in Chicago, and I just couldn't wait for the latest album. And I remember in those early days with Chicago, every album was a double album set. And everything you opened up, there was all of this material, and you'd hold it, and you'd smell it, you'd feel it.
Yes.
It was a nice thing. So it did affect you on that level, because it's not only audible now it's physical, and you're touching it, and all your senses are just, and then you put the album on. Okay. Now, you said something that I think is very insightful, and a lot of people don't realize it. If you play something from the 70s, I've heard many, many times, I'll put something on, say, "Oh, well, that's the 70s. It's so dated. It's so..." If I heard that once, I've heard it 1,000. It's so dated. And I look at the person, I say, "But it's supposed to be dated."
Right.
That's when it was done. That's when it was released. That's when it was written and performed. That reflect what was happening at that time.
Absolutely.
It's supposed to sound like that.
Yes.
Right? So I remember one of the first albums I ever listened to in that way. You put it on, you listen to the whole thing. And it was Abbey Road.
Oh,
And
right.
I think that's one of the most classic examples of what you were saying.
Right.
That second side, you can't just put on one of those little snippets and listen to it. You have to listen to the whole thing develop.
Right.
Right?
That amazing medley.
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, obviously it started a couple of years earlier with Sgt. Pepper's. Maybe it's been described many, many times over the years as the very, very first conceptual album that was out there, and that everybody kind of like took it from there. But I can give you example after example of that. What are some of your favorites?
Some favorite albums?
Yeah, that you would put on and say, okay, if I'm listening to it, I'm not going to just get the needle and move it over one or two times. I'm going to put it on, I'm going to listen to the entire thing. Because it's a forgotten experience of doing that.
For sure. All right, so there would be Joni Mitchell's Blue and Court and Spark. Ricky Lee Jones. Love Ricky Lee. So it probably would be maybe her very first album with Chucky's In Love.
Yeah, that was a nice sound.
Yes,
I did like that.
Yes. A guitarist, instrumentalist, not living any longer, sadly, Michael Hedges. Just some beautiful music, but that's going back a couple of decades as well. Some other albums. Well, there's always Frank Sinatra.
Oh, yeah, well. Goes without saying. Now, based on what you told me, and I did that specifically, I asked you that question because I wanted to kind of like get into your head just a little bit to understand where you're coming from musically. I could totally understand why you sound the way you do, why you play the way you play, and the type of atmosphere that you project when you perform. And you know what? All of this talk about performing, I mean, I know you got your guitar. I think this would be a great time for me to shut up and just let you go ahead and do what you do best, and that's perform. All right. That sound good?
That sounds
so.
Great.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for us?
I'm going to sing a song from my 2023 release, and it is called "The Leonids."
The Leonids. Very good.
Yes.
Okay. Lisa Zelazny, ladies and gentlemen.
This song is called "The Leonids," and it is from my 2023 release. For That Was Then and This Is Now. Stars are falling round me here, such beauty to be found. Do you share my fascination? Can you appreciate the rare occurrence when two paths cross, watching the stars fall down? A fleeting moment in time and space. Will we seize the moment, live our lives, or simply fade? The warmth of my blanket breaks the chill in the air. The rare occurrence when two paths cross, watching the stars fall down. And it seems like, and it seems like, and it seems like heaven could fall. And it seems like, and it seems like, and it seems like heaven could fall. He left me alone, yeah, with God knows who. There's nothing anyone in the world can do. For a flash in the sky, seems like heaven could fall. Lying alone on the cold ground, stars are falling round me here, such beauty to be found. The warmth of my blankets breaks the chill in the air. The rare occurrence when two paths cross, watching the stars fall down. And it seems like, and it seems like, and it seems like heaven could fall. Seems like, and it seems like, and it seems like, and it seems. He left me alone, yeah, with God knows who. There's nothing anyone in the world can do. We're a flash in the sky, seems like heaven could fall. We were a flash in the sky, seems like heaven could fall. And it seems like, and it seems like, and it seems like heaven could fall.
All right, welcome back to the Local Spin. Lisa Zelazny. Fantastic. That was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So how did you come up with that entire story, the Leonid meteor shower? How do you go about songwriting?
Oh, that one was probably a little bit personal. So I think there was
Okay.
an opportunity or some plans to watch the Leonid meteor shower, and I ended up watching alone.
Okay. All right.
Hence the metaphor in the song about two paths crossing a rare occurrence, and but it's a flash in the sky, and then the beauty has passed.
Well, it's an absolute beautiful song.
Thank you.
It really is a beautiful song. Do you have a method by which you create your songs? Is it more ethereal? How do you do what you do?
I don't think that I usually start with the lyrics first. I feel as if the music comes to me first.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know how. I just hear it or feel it. Sometimes.
So if a melody comes to you, how do you then decide what words to put with that melody?
Right. So I'll live with that melody inside of me for a while. So if I
Okay.
have to wake up in the middle of the night and, maybe sing it or put it down and record it so I don't forget about it, and then I'll just walk around with it, and I wait until I know, and I try to do that, I guess, self-analysis of asking myself, like, where did that come from and what am I feeling right now? And if I can't come up with something right away, I won't contrive something. I want it to be real. But so sometimes it comes more quickly. So for example, there's a song in the upcoming album that I wrote in honor of my father, A Life Well Lived, and I could hear the chorus, and I lived with it, and it just took like a couple of weeks, and I knew, like, this is his story, and it's got a bit of a country vibe, and this is for him. So then I did a little bit of research about the time period he lived in and thought about the stories he told me, and I'll get a little emotional, but
That's what music's about, though, right?
Yes. So that's for him, and I hope it would make him happy.
I think people are going to be a little bit surprised how cerebral it actually is.
Right.
I know that I've talked to hundreds of musicians over my lifetime, and many of them, much like yourself, songwriters. Some of them could sing, some of them couldn't, some of them were just lyricists, some of them were just, let's suppose you would categorize them as instrumental composers.
Right.
And there is a general wonderment about somebody who doesn't do the whole thing, and that's write the music, hear it, get inspired by it, write the music, and then put words to it. And people say, I don't know how they do that. They really don't. And I think the general public might not even have an understanding of that.
Right.
There's a misconception, I think, after talking to people, say, oh, yeah, well, it's easy to do it. You just play the guitar and you sing. Okay. Doesn't kind of work that way, does it?
No, it doesn't. I personally can't force something. If I don't feel it and it's not real for me, I won't do it. So, for example, there's a chorus melody that I heard probably 2 decades ago, and it was about maple trees, beautiful, mature maple trees, actually in my yard. And I would always tell my daughter, one day you'll find my spirit soaring amongst the maples. So here's another emotional story. So that melody sat with me for years because I would not just force the lyrics to it, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And finally, when I lost my mother a few years ago, it came to me, and I realized that's it. This is a place, the maples, a place of transition. These are the things she would have said to me, and I will say to my daughter one day. So there's a murmur, a rustle, and the leaves are calling, come sit by the shade of my tree.
It's poetry is what it is. It's poetry set to music. And it's important. And it's important because it was important to you. I could see it in your eyes when you're describing some of the lyrics that you have written and then performed and then recorded, how it is so deeply personal to you as a person, how it's part of your life that you lived, and how it's not frivolous. I don't get the feeling that anything that you write is frivolous.
No, I don't believe it is.
Yeah.
I'm very serious.
Well,
Serious
you're not in
minded.
Tin Pan Alley cranking out song after song after song after song.
Right.
It's a little bit different. So do you do a lot of live performances these days?
I would love to do more.
How difficult is it to go out and do your original music wherever, whether it's a corner pub, a coffee house, or whatever? What's that like?
It is tough to promote and find the places to do original music.
Why do you think it's so tough?
Because I think just now we're just living in this age where I think it's all about cover music.
Have you ever done any covers?
I do a lot of covers.
But not on your albums, though. Your albums
Not
are you.
on my albums, right. My
So if
albums
you're
are all
out,
my
you're going to
music.
do a cover song here and there.
Sure. I'll build something in, some
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac or Oasis.
And if you're like other people, I know you do that. You include the covers because I hate to say it, but I know you have to do that.
yes, you
right?
have to build in some.
I know some
that are
people
familiar.
that have told me that their favorite bands are so and so, and I would say, well, geez, tell me why that's your favorite band. Well, I know every song they play. I know all the words to every song, and I could fully understand that, and I can appreciate it. I
Right.
know that there are bands out there, they're cover bands. They make their living being the best cover band that they can, and I can appreciate it and respect it.
Right.
But at the same time, I look at that person that just wants to hear that and say, all right, well, if it's a cover band from a band that you liked in the 80s or 90s or 60s or 70s, what are you listening to now?
Right.
What is influencing you now? Is there any room for anything to come in and break down that barrier?
I don't know how we're going to get past this. I've seen a change, and it's not because of COVID. I think it was happening even then, prior to COVID. I saw the scene change. I used to play a lot at local wineries, which is really perfect, play on the patio, or wine release parties, or just small cafes. And then just gradually, those opportunities are fewer and fewer.
So let me ask you this. You're playing at a winery, and you're playing there, let's say, and I like the way this is going in terms of the conversation because we're out on a tangent here, but I think it's important. So let's suppose you have the gig for 2 years, and then all of a sudden in the third year you call up and they say, well, we're going a different way, or we're not doing that this year.
Right.
And you're on the other end of the phone and you say, I don't understand it. I've done this for 2 years. It's a beautiful space. People come.
Right.
And
right.
everybody enjoys it. Why is it not working? Which direction do they go? Do they go with canned music? Do they do another type of music? Or what's been your experience?
You're talking to someone who's very stubborn. So I'm still promoting mostly original music and trying to get those gigs. So I don't know if I have really the advice to offer. I really don't.
Was it because it was original music? Or did they just say, we're not doing this anymore?
I think there are a lot of pieces to this. And I don't even know if I have the answer, but I do think that venues, they're looking to make money. So they know that if you're playing maybe a lot of covers, you're bringing maybe more people in. So I think when you're a songwriter who's trying to get that foothold and getting that recognition, you're building a following, but you need to start somewhere. You can't guarantee maybe you're going to bring in 30 or 50 people. So, and you need a start, but getting that start or keeping that going, because I feel like I've been out there, it's been harder.
And you need to keep it going.
Yes, absolutely.
We talked before we started the interview here, and I told you that my daughter is very much like yourself, and she's a singer-songwriter. And I know that in some of her shows, she makes the statement, and I think sometimes people just look at it and they don't understand it, or they take it superficially, but it's not. She says, if Carole King didn't come out and play Carole King songs, we wouldn't have Carole King. And
Right.
if Billy Joel didn't play Billy Joel songs, we would not have Billy Joel.
Right.
And if Barry Manilow didn't do Barry, we wouldn't have them. And that is part of the literature of what singer-songwriters perform.
Right.
But if they didn't have that start and people didn't support them in that venture, we would never know who they are.
Right.
And I think, and something that I think is prolific about that train of thought is, think of that for a second. If they didn't get their chance and people didn't listen to them, we wouldn't have that volume of work.
Right.
And it's
Right.
amazing, just those 3 or 4 people that I mentioned,
Right.
the amount of music that they've written and performed over the years, and now have become part of our cultural fabric.
Right. Well, I think streaming is another aspect that I think, of course, there's a lot of benefits to streaming, and I'm streaming this album here. For That Was Then and This Is Now. However, it makes it nearly impossible to be heard, I think.
There's so much out there.
There is so much out there. Then there's this algorithm that's calculated, and you're not really coming up on, unless you get a lot of hits, you're not really coming up on as recommendations when someone's streaming on their platform. And it's not like when I came out with an album in 2000 and people were only listening to CDs, and I think there still was vinyl at that time. People listened, and they listened to an entire album, and they listened, and there were many places to play, I think, at that time. So
I don't really know how you get those algorithms to be in your favor.
Right. So I think, and that's what I meant, when we live in the online world, we're streaming, and we're really streaming in fragments, right? We're not listening to a whole album.
Right.
One song, this artist, whatever's on a playlist, whatever's recommended for us, listening in our cars, and just not really sitting down to take that time to connect with an artist through their music.
How many people do you know that put on an album or a CD, right? Whether it's vinyl or a CD, and just sit there and have the room set a certain way. Maybe the lights are a little bit dim, maybe the blinds are closed, and just listen to the music.
Other than myself, not
right?
Many.
There aren't
I
too
don't
many
know.
anymore.
No, there aren't really.
There really
No.
aren't. I can count probably on one hand, and then with you, there's
Right.
there's 6 now.
Right.
People just don't do that. I think it's a reflection of our society as a whole. We have instant gratification. If a club owner wants music and he wants Frank Sinatra, all he's got to do is stream it. And then if
Right.
somebody comes in and says, listen, I want to hear something else, then they stream something else. Then it's unlimited. Now, two schools of thought there. You have the general population that would say, well, that's great. I don't have, I can have anything anytime I want it. And if I get tired of it, I just put something else on and I have it at my fingertips.
Right.
And then you have maybe a more discerning population that may say, but where's the artistry?
Right.
Where's the emotion? You're listening to everything at the very, very top of it. You're not digging deep into it.
Right, and I think it takes it back once again to that album, that collection of music.
Yeah.
Would we have gotten to know Billy Joel or Carole King if Tapestry didn't come out and know that? I remember my sister holding that vinyl album with her friends and all talking about it, and we just wouldn't have known more. We would have only known that fragment. Like, who is it? Oh, that's a great song, and then move on. And I think that's what's happening. It's like, oh, that's a cool song, and then move on.
Then you're into something completely different. And how do you get that song played? I'll tell you what, it's not easy.
No.
And you're fighting it. You're fighting it every time you go out, and you do what you do, and you do it because it's part of who you are.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And like I said at the beginning, we didn't really know each other. I feel like I know you already after just sitting down and talking with you. I could see the passion in your eyes. I hear it in your voice. I hear there's nothing superficial about anything that you do, and everything you do is just very, very. What's the right word that I'm looking for? You're an English teacher. I'm struggling. Where's my thesaurus? It's got to be here somewhere. But it's very not only emotional, but it's real, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
that says an awful lot about what you do and how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's on the horizon for you? Let's talk about the new album.
Yes.
We already talked about you getting over there to
Right.
Sweden.
Yes.
Had to be an experience. I mean,
Certainly.
it had to be beautiful.
Yes.
I understand that it's actually Stockholm, a bunch of islands. It's not just one place, right?
Right. Yes, it is very beautiful.
Yeah. So talk
gorgeous
about
city.
that album a little bit here, and
All right.
I think this is a natural place to go.
Sure. So this album is called Those Days in Stockholm and will be released. I'm so very, very close. I really think it's like 3 or 4 weeks away. I'm finalizing the artwork right now, and should have been done in the fall, but sometimes things just take a little bit longer. It's I think it portrays me as a songwriter and the journey that I've been on. So it's a bit eclectic. So I delve a little bit into a Latin jazz,
Nice.
type, bossa nova type feel, contemporary jazz, a little bit reminiscent of Joni Mitchell's Court and Spark. And then there's a bit of a country vibe, and then my kind of throwback 70s vintage vibe as well. And features just some great players. So we were talking about Kevin Soltis earlier.
Right.
He plays drums and percussion.
Where did you record it?
We did much of the recording at Mark Studios
Okay.
and some of the mixing there. And I did also some mixing and mastering with Fred Betchen at GCR. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I've been lucky enough to hear little snips of it, and it just sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, thank
It really
you.
does.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite? I know that every time I ask this question, I get the same answer. It's like, that's asking if I have a favorite child, right? You got 7 kids, which one's my favorite?
Right.
But do you have something that you're most excited about on the album?
Well, I won't put something out there that I don't like.
Okay. So it's the same answer
I've
that I
had
always
songs
get.
I was like, no, that's not for an album.
Okay.
I like everything, but I do like the little bossa nova type feel in Exploration of Our Hearts. I think we'll hear a little bit of that on the outro of the program. And the cover song, Those Days in Stockholm, I don't know. I think I like them all.
Well, that's good, right? You don't want to say, well, this one's no good.
I'm excited, yes.
And talk about what it's like to put an album together and the placement of the songs on the album.
Oh, the order, the
Yeah.
placement. Oh, okay. So I save that for last. I always take things in steps. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming to record. This project took a little over a year, so it really, I'm also very detail oriented, so it can take a long time. The order and even the title of the album, I didn't really make a decision until the last minute, I think, probably when I was done mastering with Fred. And then I thought about it and I said, it's perfect. I have this revival of 100,000 pieces on here. And Thomas Eklund is playing Hammond organ again on this piece. And it's really where a lot of my writing started.
Okay.
And in Stockholm. So it's kind of like making that journey, circling back, and then showing where I am now as a songwriter, just delving into these different genres.
And that'll be out soon, and folks can pick it up.
Yes.
Right?
I think
At your website, right?
at my website it'll be available for downloads, and I am putting it out on CD also.
Okay.
So I think it's important to have physical product, and I know vinyl's made a bit of a comeback,
Right.
and I think that Gen Z generation is listening a little bit to CDs now again. So there's kind of coming back. And just important to have physical product just to be out there. So that will be available, distributed, and I will be selling downloads on my website as well, and eventually streaming. But I think I'll hold off for a little bit on that.
Right. I think you're probably smart to do it in that way. It's kind of a layered approach for distribution, and I would expect nothing else from you based on our conversation here. Everything is methodical and thought out, and it has its time and place, and that's when it's going to happen.
That is true.
Yeah. The whole CD thing, I've had this conversation with so many people. I really believe what put the dagger in the heart of the CD was when they took them out of cars.
Yes.
Because I remember having stacks of CDs in my car, and people would take a CD and they would throw it in their car. And the reason is because they were in the car, they wanted to listen to their own music.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got home, their life was happening and they weren't listening to it as much at home, because exactly what we talked about earlier.
Right.
So I think that that was a kind of a little safe place. But then all of a sudden they stopped making the CDs.
Right.
Players for the cars. So you can't find a car anymore with a CD player in, unless you order it to put it in. And people had their phones, and everything was, as soon as they get in the car, it's no longer listening to music. It's like, I'm in the car, I got to call somebody. I have to talk to somebody. On the way home, I got to talk to somebody.
Right.
So you have a 20, 30, 40-minute ride. You're talking to people all the time.
Right.
You're not listening to music anymore.
Right.
And I think that really hurt.
I think so as well.
And I remember when I was younger going to the music store and thumbing through the records. And I remember 45s and 33s, and then that gave way to 8-tracks. When I first started driving,
Oh
I
my
had one of those
gosh.
under the dash 8-tracks. And you shove it in there and
Yeah.
you drive around, and the 8-tracks gave way to cassettes.
Right.
Then there were cassettes everywhere, and then we had CDs, and now we have nothing except the streaming services.
It's not the same.
It's just not the same. But
No.
you know what? People like yourself that have the passion, that are genuine in what they do and how they do it, are keeping it alive in terms of an art form. Well,
doing
this
our
has been a
best.
phenomenal conversation. Did you have
Thank
fun?
you. I had great fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Lou.
I loved it. Is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap things up here?
No, just maybe visit my website
Right.
and just promote that, because I'll have a firm release date here, but my new album will be out just within weeks.
Within weeks.
Yes, within weeks.
As soon as you
Probably
approve the
three-
artwork and say.
Probably 3 weeks. That's
3
how
weeks.
close it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So what song are you going to play for us?
It is called An Exploration of Our Hearts.
Exploration
Of Our
of Our Hearts. Okay, and that's
Yes.
off of the newly to be released album.
That is
Those
right.
Days in Stockholm.
That's correct.
Lisa Zelazny.
Yes.
Thank you for coming
right.
in.
Thank
Zelazny,
you.
I almost said your name wrong.
It's all right.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you, Lou, for having me
Okay.
very much. The song is called An Exploration of Our Hearts. And this will be on the upcoming 2026 album. Say the words I long to hear. Say them twice and draw me near as we sit and gaze up at the stars. Northern Crown and Hercules, Jupiter and Saturn's rings. Darling, it's only you in my field of view. We'll venture off into the night, silent wonder of the sky, quietness under the stars. The universe tonight is ours. This is the start and exploration of our hearts. A bridge leads Vega to Altair. Tenderly a kiss we share as we sit under the Milky Way. Bum, bum, bum.